Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All right.
Powered by Emery Allen. Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All right. Welcome to the number one. It's the number one landscape lighting show in Woodland, Washington. That's right. We are going worldwide. If you're looking to start or grow a landscape lighting business, and to be honest with you, if you're looking to start or grow any business, then you're in the right place today. We got an epic show lined up for you. It's been a long time in the making, but today we got Mr. Brandon Vaughn coming on the show. I've been following him for years and got to meet him a couple times, but this guy is the real deal. If you're looking to really scale your business, so many things, so many times. We were just talking before. I'm like, well, we could talk about this or this or this. Like he's he hasn't seen it all, but he's seen most of it. So excited to have Brandon on in just a few minutes. We're going to be talking about all the things in scaling your home service business, your landscape lighting business. And it's going to be a great show. That's for sure. So before we have him on, I want to remind you of a couple things. So next month, this is like the party of the year in the landscape lighting industry, and it's free. So it's in West Palm Beach, Florida, September 27th. What we're doing is we're sponsoring Luxury Illumination. It's their 10-year anniversary party. If you haven't been to Greg Matthews' showroom in West Palm Beach, you need to come experience this. The party's free. We're going to have a live band. The flyers, they're epic in person. We've got food trucks. We've got a guy that's like handcrafting cigars. I don't smoke cigars, but it looks cool. It makes me want to smoke cigars. You can like customize your cigar and all this stuff. We're going to have a vendor fair. And so that's free. If you're already coming to Secret Summit, then there's nothing you need to do. All right. Because that's like our third day. But if you're not, if you're like, you know what, I'm anti-coaching, I'm anti-landscape lighting secrets, it's okay. You're still invited to this epic party. We want to see you guys there. There's a vendor fair. It's going to be awesome. If you need information on that, just send me a DM, or you can email me, support@ryanleecoaching.com. And we're sending out emails. We're on social media, all that stuff. And if you're looking to be part of Secret Summit, then reach out, because if you're already in the program, it's free for most members. And if it's something that you want to be a part of, then reach out at landscapelightingsecrets.com and we can get you hooked up. So excited for that. That's coming up just next month, 4 weeks from right now. So excited for that. Thank you guys so much for your support. We keep getting reviews on Apple, and it's like one at a time. That's okay. I really, really do appreciate it. This is the funnest thing to do. I get to hang out with other industry leaders, entrepreneurs, talk about the wins, talk about the losses, and it's so cool. So thank you guys so much for your support. And again, in just a few minutes, we're going to have Mr. Brandon Vaughn. He's the CEO of Hire Bus. He's got a lot. He's done a lot. So I'm going to let him introduce himself, because I'm like, how do I introduce this guy? He's done so many things. So I'm going to see how he introduces himself. But I was reading his bio, and I didn't know this. He is a Guinness World Record holder. And of what? I don't know. So we're going to ask him. We're going to find out, because as far as I know, I don't own any Guinness World Record holder. Like, I don't do that. So I'm excited. So we're going to find out. Before we have Brandon on, I want to share something. So 2 years ago, guys, and I bring this up because Secret Summit's coming up. 2 years ago, I walked into the room. It was our second annual Secret Summit, which is our members only meetup. We do once a year. I walk into the room. I'm like 5 or 6 minutes late, and everyone's in the room in anticipation. What's this going to be like? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to do? All right. And I'm late. I walk into the room late. My team's going, we don't know where Ryan is. And I walk into the room, half my beard was shaved off. So imagine me with just clean shaved half beard, one side of my face. One side looked normal. Well, as normal as I could look, right? The other side looked like I lost a bet. Okay. But here's the thing, I did it on purpose, and it became probably one of the most memorable lessons that I've ever taught about business. And I really talked about the danger of going halfway. And the theme of our Secret Summit was really going all in on your business. Fast forward to about a month ago, I was invited to go speak at Jimmy Tompkins' Light It Up event. And wouldn't you know, the theme was the same, all in. And it seems like this lesson kind of keeps chasing me down, right? And so again, at our Secret Summit event, I shaved half my beard and I get into that room. Everyone was stunned. And, that was the point. Listen, halfway looks awkward. It looks ridiculous. And I said something that probably offended some, but I was like, listen, some of your businesses look as ridiculous as my face does right now. And that's because you're not going all in. It doesn't mean that you're not good. It doesn't mean you don't have the skill set, the ability. It's just that you're not focused. You're not going all in. And so whether it's in your beard or in your business, you're just not going to get the results that you need or want by going halfway. It's all about going all in. And so we say, we want growth, but then we only really kind of go halfway in with our marketing. We say we want more freedom, but then we don't really train our teams the way that they need, right? We don't really work on culture. Like we're not really trying to become better leaders. We just expect people to conform to how we lead, right? We say we want profit, but then we only commit to our pricing halfway. Like, I'll try to raise my price. I'm like, try? What does that even mean? Halfway just doesn't work. And so last month when Jimmy asked me to speak at his Light It Up event, and told me the theme was all in, I'm like, of course it is. Like, this lesson is everywhere. And the reason it keeps coming up is because it's the thing that separates winners from the strugglers, right? And the people who are halfway in and halfway out, they're always stressed. They're always struggling. And how do I know this? Because I used to be one of them. And at times I still am one of them. I still succumb to the temptation of the shiny object syndrome. Oh, what about this? What about that? Right. And it's like, yeah, I don't feel like it. Like, excuses, excuses, excuses. And then you have the ones who decide to go all in. And they're the ones who seem to always have more time. They get the freedom, they get the profits, they get the growth. And it's not easy, but it is simple. All in wins. And so pretty much I would say literally every single month, and sometimes multiple times a month, someone will ask me, "Hey, what does it look like out there?" It's kind of like, like everyone's in their own city, in their own silo, and they're wondering what the real world looks like. They're like, and it's like, I think it's because I have connections with people like all over the US. And so they're like, they want me to give a pulse on the market. Like, how's everyone doing? Is it slow right now? Or am I the only one that's slow? Or is everyone doing good right now? And it's kind of funny because when I get asked this question, I do this review exercise. I go, well, you know what? Let me think about that for a second. The people that come to my mind that are killing it or, doing well, um, it doesn't really have to do with their location. It doesn't really have to do with the economy or like what the news says. It always comes down to whether they are all in or not. And same thing with the people that are struggling. Like it doesn't have to do with the economy. It doesn't have to do with where they're located. It really has to do with, like, are they all in? Are they showing up? Are they implementing the things that they learn? Like, the same people could go to a conference, they could go to Light It Up Expo, or they could go to Secret Summit and walk away with completely different results, because someone who's going to implement and go all in is going to get a lot more out of it versus someone who's like, man, those were some really good ideas. I'll have to do that one day. Right. And so, and it doesn't mean that, like, the person that's going all in doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean that you're even good at executing it. It just means that you're executing it. Right. And I've just seen that trend over and over and over. It doesn't matter if the economy, like, traditionally, like the end of, like, right now, the end of August is like the hardest time in the landscape lighting industry, because people are going back to school, finishing vacations, and, like, that's just been the thing. Like, when I started my business in 2007, so that's 18 years ago, it's been the same story ever since, right? And so the people that are still, like, actually not just maintaining flat, but actually growing right now, they're not making excuses. They're continually going on in their business, and they're actually not slower right now, right? Um, so I want to encourage you guys to go all in on your business. And here's a question for you, you know, that you guys can consider. I always like to give you guys like a takeaway, but where identify the areas, and maybe spend 30 minutes. I mean, maybe an hour on this, but where are you still halfway in your business? And you probably know them in the back of your mind right now. Do you need to go all in more on your marketing? Do you need to go all in on training your team? Maybe you just need to get to halfway training your team? It starts with baby steps here, but are you all in on becoming a better leader? Are you all in on developing your teams, right? Because going halfway is costing you way more than going all in ever will. So this week, my challenge, pick one area of your business, just one, and make the decision to go all in. So whatever it is, raise your prices, hire the person, invest in the training, time block your owner time block your referral partner time, commit fully instead of going halfway. Because if you don't get intentional, if you continue the path you're on, your business is going to continue running you. You've got to call a timeout, pause, get intentional, and that's going to be the difference for you. So just remember, halfway is the slowest. It's the most painful path that you can choose. So all that being said, I learned a lot with a half beard. I actually kept that half beard. Everyone's like, "You're going to go shave that at lunch, right?" I'm like, "I was, but now I'm not going to." And then they're like, "You're going to go shave that before we go out to dinner, right?" Well, I was, but now I'm not going to. So I went out Nashville at night. And what's crazy in Nashville, it wasn't weird. People thought it was cool. That's how weird Nashville is. But people did ask me, they're like, "What? Oh, I can't wait to hear the story. What bet did you lose?" Right? I'm like, "I'm a business coach and I was teaching a lesson." So, but I was reminded of it at Jimmy's event. I reinforced it when I had the half beard, and now I'm passing it on to you. The fastest way to look foolish in business or in life is to go halfway. And the fastest way to win is to go all in. So I'm on your team. I'm on your side. I want to be here to support you. If you guys have questions, you get hung up, just reach out. The community is strong. We have our free Facebook group, Landscape Lighting Secrets. Don't forget to connect there. All right. So where's the other? Oh, here it is. We got to thank Emery Allen. Hey, what's the best way to stand out of the crowd? Well, being different. Set yourself apart from others in the lighting industry and impress your customers by installing Emery Allen bulbs on your next project. You'll discover a higher level of quality across the board, from the bulbs themselves to the top-tier customer support you can expect to get if you have any issues or questions. Right now is the best time to make the switch. What do you have to lose? Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com and get your account set up. Now, if you email Tom G at emeryallen.com, mention that you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits, and he will hook you up with that discounted contractor pricing. It's pretty cool to see, because now we go to different events and stuff like that, and I ask people like, what product are you using? And so many people are using Emery Allen. So don't get left behind. Just email Tom G at emeryallen.com and mention Lighting for Profits for that discounted contractor pricing. All right, now the time that you all came for. The time, this is why I showed up. Let's get to our guest. You guys ready? I know I am. Let's get that intro music coming, huh? Welcome to the show, Mr. Brandon Vaughn. What's up, Brandon?
What's up, Ryan? How you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm excited to have you on the show and talk shop and hopefully help a lot of people buy back their time, make some money, and get the freedom they're chasing.
Yeah, man. I was loving listening to your intro and talking about that time and how we should be focusing and spending it and not go halfway all the way through and just sending it. So I loved it. Loved the message that you're preaching. It was awesome.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Full send. Maybe I should have. You just said send.
It just got to send it.
Send it. Well, I'm excited to talk about your journey. I know. I bet you if I was to like open up my Rolodex, I'll bet you 50% of the people not only know who you are, but are like raving fans. And then there's the other 50% of the people that are like, Brandon, who?
Yeah. It's probably, I think you're being generous that 50% know who I am, but I do appreciate that.
No, I think it's cool. Dude, just real quick, if you would introduce yourself for those that don't know who you are.
Well, I've been in home services my whole life. I have been on 100% commission only pay since I was 18 years old, and got my first business license the day I turned 18, and have been running that entrepreneurial path ever since. Made every mistake I feel like someone could make along the way. So I have lots of, abuse stories and hard lessons learned and all the classic entrepreneurial tales, but have had some cool successes along the way, and just still feel like I'm an lifelong learner. I love to learn. I love to just be involved in any trade that's blue collar. I think blue collar entrepreneurs are just the coolest people on the planet, and have really enjoyed kind of trying to figure out how to solve problems, both for them and as well as just for, the businesses that I run. I love to solve problems. I think that's probably my most favorite thing to do, is try to put on the creative hat and try to solve them.
That's cool. Yeah. I guess before I start, I want to go down this journey with you, but I was reading your bio and it said Guinness World Record holder. Is this true?
This is true. So in 2020, I got the Guinness World Record for hosting the world's largest virtual business conference.
Nice.
This was the Home Service Super Summit, and we had over 21,000 home service business owners and attendees that attended our online event. We had a Guinness adjudicator that was there that validated and verified every single person that came through the platform, and still to this day hold that record. We haven't been shaken off of it yet. And I think it was just like a crazy timed, perfect thing that we kind of took advantage of when all these events were getting shut down. And yeah, it was a blast. It's cool. A little feather in my cap. That doesn't mean much, but it's fun to say.
Yeah, dude, it's an award. I mean, I have to make up my own awards because I don't qualify for Rule 1. So I'm the host of the #1 landscape lighting podcast in the world. And then I tell people, well, it's the only landscape lighting podcast.
I don't believe that. I don't believe it's the only one, but I think I can see why you're #1. This is, you host very, very well. And I love your content. I like the guests that you bring on. And I'm honestly, genuinely honored to be here too. I'm excited to chat with you.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Well, I was like, I came up with all these questions and then I go, you know what? I actually just have one. Like, what's the secret? Like, how do I become Brandon Vaughn when I grow up? Just answer that in like 45 seconds or less. Give us the blueprint.
Yeah. Let me think about a serious answer to that question, because there's some depth to it that I want to not necessarily dive too deep in the emotional spectrum of things. I will say that the biggest lesson that I wish I could go back and kind of tell younger Brandon is that the feeling of not knowing what the heck you're doing never goes away. Like you learn how to do the next thing, and then you immediately come against the next thing that you don't know how to do. And falling in love with that feeling, falling in love with, and at least at a minimum, getting comfortable with that feeling of being massively uncomfortable, and to recognize that as not you suck and that you're an imposter and that you're a failure, but to recognize that as this actually means I'm growing. And to get somewhere I've never been means doing things I've never done. And the fact that I'm doing all this stuff that I've never done before, and that is growth. And I'd say that if there's anything that I feel like has unlocked my ability to be able to just not quit, not give up, and keep tackling the next thing, it's just recognizing that it's just growth, and to fall in love with that process, and to just realize that it's painful and it's okay. It's supposed to be painful. And if there's any secret to say, it's not even like a unique secret, because all successful people I feel like have kind of talked about this, but it's one that I feel more now later on in my life.
Yeah, well said. I think I've kind of been discovering this more and more. And the more I study, like, you know, we're building this landscape lighting community, and I see the trends and the traits of those people. Like, well, they're hearing the same information. Why are they excelling? And why is this group like just falling off? Right. And I think it really relates to that. It's like they learn the new tactic, they do the new strategy, they hire the new person. And of course it feels uncomfortable. And of course you feel like you're an imposter, because you're like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not a leader. Like, I've never done this. And so the human, like, we're humans, like, we're creatures of comfort. Like, that's a real thing. So the natural man in us just wants to resort back and be like, you know what? I'm just going to do it on my own. It's easier to do it on my own than try to teach someone else. And it is, you know, for a period of time, at least.
Yeah. Once you realize that you can't do it all on your own, and then you have that feeling of, I'm constantly in a state of stress, I'm constantly in a state of fight or flight, always overwhelmed, never enough time in the day. And I think understanding that the next breakthrough moment that you are going to have is going to be in your ability to be able to out delegate people, not just outwork people. Outworking and working harder than them and hustling and doing all the things, like that is a skill set that kind of gets you to the place where you're at in a certain stage of business. But then to really kind of break through those next growth ceilings, you have to master the art of training and development and leadership and knowing how to talk to people and how to motivate them and how to make sure that they don't get so discouraged. And you have to encourage them. And there's a lot of parenting principles that I've found apply directly to managing and leading people as well. Not to say that your employees are a bunch of kids, but in a lot of ways, we're all a bunch of kids still at heart. And a lot of those things kind of pass through. And to be able to coach and teach and train is one of the most valuable skill sets that I think I've been trying to cultivate more. And with that has led to more success without me having to be as involved. But I'm not perfect at it yet. Still a work in progress.
What would you say to the person? I feel like I've met a lot of people that would hear what you just said and be like, yeah, I get that. And then they get to that point and they're like, but man, I kind of just miss being the technician. Like I don't want to go work for someone. I want a bigger dream. I want to leave a legacy. I want to start this business, but I'm just not good at leadership. I'm just not good at those things. And I don't even know, I don't want to be in the office. I don't want to do all this stuff. I kind of just like being in the field.
The first and foremost, that's rooted in fear. And if you have a space in front of you that's unknown, and you have a place that's behind you that's known, and back here, yeah, it was uncomfortable. There's reasons why you don't want to necessarily go back there. Hard on your body, all the things. You start to forget all those reasons though. And instead, you are faced with this, I could move forward into a place of unknown. I don't have this skill set. I haven't had this skill set before to be able to lead people, train people, find good people, delegate properly. But back here, I was good at that. I could put on my earphones and I could just work and put my head down. And it was very, very comfortable. And I missed that. And just, yearning for the safe space, the comfortable spot. I think that's all part of human nature. And I think that's all part of the reason why we kind of look back at the good old days when things were simpler and things were this. It's not necessarily that things were simpler. It's just that we possessed all the skills needed to be able to function in that environment. And we're trying to move into an environment where we're lacking a bunch of skills. And that's hard and that's scary. And it requires a lot of work. It requires different kind of work. It requires a different approach. And I think that understanding that that's a place of fear, but it's literally the place of growth. I think that's can be a good source of the push that's maybe needed to enter that territory.
Yeah, well said. I think as you're talking here, I'm like, a lot of us have heard, like we kind of know what we're supposed to do. We've either read the book, heard the speaker, listened to the podcast, but it's like putting all those pieces together. Yeah. And like when I hear you talk, it's like, I think that's the importance of like knowing your why. Because it's like, it's like, oh, you got to know your why. Like, do you? Like, yeah, because if you don't have a reason to move forward, then you'll just retreat back into the darkness. It's like, you really have to understand, like, okay, is this worth the pain? If it is, then yeah, you better work your way through and learn the new thing.
There was this cool thing that I heard the other day that just kind of hit me. Every once in a while when you hear something, you're just like, man, why? It's so well said that really hit home for me. It was talking about how everything that you desire is on the other side of the opposite of that. If you desire courage, it's on the other side of being terrified. You have to face your fear and then you obtain courage. If you have the desire to be strong, you have to go into the gym and feel very weak and push yourself to failure and experience how weak you are. Then you become strong. And if you want to be rich, you have to experience poor. You have to, invest all your money and live on very, very little and be frugal and, make these changes where you're like, I can't afford to do anything. I can't afford to go to the movies or eat out, or I can't do all this because I'm taking my money and I'm investing it in a new way that makes me feel very, very poor. Like rich poor is a very real feeling where you're building long-term wealth, but you're You're sacrificing that short-term dopamine hit of being able to have things, whether it's a brand new truck or whatever. So all of those feelings are on the opposite side. If you want to be able to have a business that runs without you, you have to really work hard on that business, and you have to focus on setting up systems and processes and playbooks and SOPs. And you have to get good at, you actually have to work harder and more intently and more strategically on things in order to then experience that feeling of, okay, I have a business that runs without me. So it gets worse before it gets better in any aspect of life where you're trying to achieve some kind of a result. And it always comes on the other side of that feeling that you dread and the feeling that you're trying to avoid. So that whole feeling of like leaning in to it when it's hard, that is, again, kind of going back to that secret thing, is identifying that as, okay, this is actually the right thing I need to be doing. I need to be leaning into this. And then you hopefully get out on the other side, not too scathed, where you don't want to continue on and you just give up. I think that's the real part, is maybe you could shine some light on that, on the secret, the secret to that is just not feeling so, not allowing it to feel you so hard when you kind of go through those growth stages.
I know I think it was the book, The War of Art. I always get it wrong. It's either The Art of War or The War of Art. I think it's The War of Art. He talks about the resistance, and like, that's how he gauges his life. Like, if you feel that resistance, you're like, okay, I'm onto something.
There's actually two books. There's The Art of War, which is a very famous book. But then actually my wife did buy a book that was called The War of Art. And it was actually about an artist and kind of overcoming some of that. It was like a play on words. But yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, you have to overcome that resistance for sure.
Well, what I want to do is kind of fast forward to just now.
Okay.
Normally I kind of like build the story, but I'm like, I kind of want to catch up personally. It's like, dude, tell me what's going on. You got Hire Bus, you got Wise Coatings. I know that blew up. I'd like to get an update on that, but tell me kind of what's your, tell me what you're involved with right now. And then we can kind of go back and figure out how you got here.
Start with where I'm at now and work backwards.
Yeah. Let's just like, who is Brian? What are you doing right now? I know you're walking on a treadmill, which, by the way, you should tell people like what's happening right now. So they're not like, is he moving? Is his camera? What's going on?
I'm a crazy person and have decided to get rid of the chair in my office and just have a standing desk and then put a treadmill there. I never imagined I would be the walking person. I've tried standing desks before. They hurt my back. I was locking one leg. But then my coach actually suggested, hey, to get in more steps, try a treadmill under your desk. And so I did it. And I lost like 45 pounds in like 3.5, 4 months and 15% body fat. Like I went down to single digit body fat, which I've never been in, I don't think in my life, except for maybe when I was like a scrawny teenager or something. But it's been game changing. So if you see me swaying and bouncing around, I'm not just super hyper and just like to, well, actually, I am that.
Actually,
I do like
you are. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. That's what the H stands for in ADHD. That's right, though. I am. My wife always laughs at me because whenever I get on a phone call with someone, I'm always pacing out in the front yard, back and forth, back and forth. She set up time-lapse videos to make fun of me. How ridiculous I look, like a caged animal walking back and forth.
I think you've inspired many to do the treadmill, and you might inspire me because I told you I'm like tired of sitting. And I like, when I'm on the phone, I like to walk around. So it's like, why don't I just do my meetings while I'm walking? So we'll see.
Dude,
what happens.
check out some articles where it says sitting is the new smoking, and it will really wreck your brain as far as what happens with your hip mobility, your QL, your hip flexors, and your back, and just all the crazy crap that it does. We're not designed to be sitting for 8 hours a day. So it has made such a massive impact, not only to my resting heart rate, my blood pressure. It's just, you kind of get that constant state of feeling momentum, and then you just get used to it. Like I don't know what it's like. I hardly remember what it's like to sit all day long because I'm just so used to it now. It feels weird when the treadmill's not going.
That's awesome.
It's a good shift.
Well, tell us where you're at now with Hire Bus, Wise Coatings, and again, like what other businesses you got rolling right now?
Yeah, so I have a portfolio of companies. It's about 12 right now, and they're in a variety of different sectors. I'm an owner investor in the vast majority of them. Wise Coatings, we have 39 locations across the country, and we franchised it about 4 years ago and have locations that we own as well as franchisees. I have a CEO, Whitney, that runs that company in the day-to-day. We have a manufacturing company. My primary focus right now, though, is HireBus. That's where I wear the CEO hat, and I spend full time in helping to build one of the coolest platforms for recruiting employees in a business. And we've built AI agents to automatically take care of everything from posting to interviewing to screening to behavioral assessments to analyzing and scoring, and then eventually teeing up the top 3%, just autopilot, recruiting 365 days a year. It's been amazing. Like, the journey into AI has been incredible. I also bought a electrical company in Tucson, Arizona at the beginning of the year. And we're kind of documenting turning that company around. It's been pretty flatline for the last, 40 years, pretty small. We bought it. And I say we, myself and a business partner of mine, we went in, rebranded, new website, new systems, new playbooks. And we're basically going to document how we've scaled that company up. And that's going to be like a video series.
Very cool.
I'm really excited to kind of launch in the next 3 to 6 months. So it's been, that's mostly where I kind of focus, though, is HireBus right now.
Okay, very cool. So one thing that prompted me to think is like, man, I saw this, I don't know if it was a framework or whatever. I remember seeing something that's like, you go from, like working for someone to then being like self-employed to then entrepreneur. And then I think investor is the top one. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Actually, I just gave a session called Oasis, the 5 stages of hypergrowth.
Okay.
A presentation at the huge convention just in Nashville. Yeah. And we talked about that. We kind of showed an org chart, kind of hire by hire of exactly kind of how you grow a service business. And it kind of looked like this, where you go and you add on team members, and eventually you get off the truck, and like what your pain points are. And, what point do you hire office managers or production managers or salespeople or directors? It was a pretty cool session, but it just kind of breaks apart, where are all those little break points where you need a key individual on your team to kind of get you to the next level. And should you promote that up or should you hire that outside? Those are usually the first questions that people kind of ask around that. We dove into that topic.
Very cool. Yeah. I mean, I feel like most, majority of businesses get started not because they have a rich uncle. It's just because it's like, well, I'm good at landscape lighting and I want to go do this or whatever. They're just kind of good at the thing. They're an electrician. They're not necessarily taught how to run a business. So we get started that way. Now that you've done it the hard way, now you've kind of reached this level of like CEO and investor. What are some of the differences? Like, when you go into this electrical company, for example, what are the things that you're doing now that are different because you're like the investor level versus Brandon Vaughn, the entrepreneur who's just going to out hustle everybody?
I think some of the things that I've learned, first of all, I've had some really, really incredible coaches that I've paid a lot of money to help me learn this skill set more on acquisition, on creative deal making, finding a pipeline full of deals, how to do due diligence and work through the entire process. It's really fascinating because it does leverage more debt, but it can be debt that is financed by the seller. And there's a lot of seller finance deals, whether that's on an annuity plan or basis. A lot more of the skill set comes in coming up with a really creative deal that solves their motivation, their urgency, and how they can end up exiting that business in a way that's good for them, but it's also good for us. And then past that point, it's really very programmatic in nature as far as here's our project management board and all the things that we need to kind of score in the business, find out what we need to improve, optimize, understanding our marketing, auditing the team, and then ultimately finding a really, really good operator or operating team to be able to run that business. And there's a lot of companies you can go out and buy where the cash flow outweighs whatever debt payments you have to purchase that business by like a 2x. And that's kind of like a good buy that we kind of go for, is if we can buy a business and the payment on that is less than half what the free cash flow is in the business, you can buy these assets and they can free cash flow from day one. And then you can just focus on tweaking some things rather than starting something up from scratch. And the larger the business you buy, obviously, the less you have to do in it, in theory, especially if it's good and profitable. The smaller ones you have to, there's more risk there, which is usually why they're not worth as much. Yep. So going through that process has just been a lot of fun. And because I have been a serial startup individual, and I've been enjoying this new season of thinking a little more like an owner investor instead of a operator.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's talk about, I know you're big on systems and processes and building these playbooks and SOPs, and that's kind of the only way you can scale. But how did you go from that stage of, well, actually, what was your first business that you started?
The first one that I started was a cleaning business. The day I turned 18, I went out and got my own business license to follow in the footsteps of my dad, have a little window cleaning business, and kind of pressure wash, gutter cleaning, just any type of thing that I could do. It was called Shining Knight Property Maintenance. And I had a little hand-drawn like knight that I made. It was super cheesy. And that was like my first business ever. And then it transitioned into a full-blown construction remodeling business, which we had called Cutting Edge Interiors. And that was, I'd say, my next kind of level up in a business setting was that. Eventually, later on, went back to the cleaning space, scaled my cleaning company up to 70 employees. And that's really where I learned like how to actually run a business. All the other previous times was just more as an owner operator.
Yeah. So what was the difference? How'd you go from just owner operator? Most people can figure out enough to pay the bills, but still high level of stress, a lot of hours involved. How'd you go from that to 70 employees?
This is going to sound terrible, but it's the truth. I am very ADHD, and I hate the feeling of being a bottleneck to something happening. There's a lot of people, when you're the owner, that need you to make the final call, you to decide on something, you to tell them how to do it, you to instruct them on how to do it. And I found myself in this constant loop of repetition where I was telling people the same thing over and over again. They would quit. I'd bring in another person, or I would tell them I would take care of it, and then I would forget, and then they'd be upset. And just that constant feeling of, man, everyone needs me for this. And my laziness, I'm probably going to just label it as that because I think it's probably the label that fits, was a big motivator for me to start creating systems, because I didn't want to work full-time in the business every day. I had a why that was involved in why I started a business in the first place, which was more time freedom. And I just found that was the big problem. And that was the biggest bottleneck in my business growing, was me and my presence. And I realized that when I sat down in front of my computer and I created checklists or tools or systems, or I documented things, or I recorded videos and I put together a class or a training flow, people stopped coming to me for questions. And then I started to train them to make those as well. And then things really started kind of operating a lot more smoothly. And that was kind of my big aha moment. Like, oh, okay, this is what it means to work on your business, is to document this stuff.
Did someone like tell you to do that, or do you literally just got fed up? You're like, no, I don't want to do this anymore.
Oh man, I had lots of people tell me this. I'd say that the first person to tell me this was Michael Gerber in the book, The E-Myth, and Why Most Businesses Fail and What to Do About It. And that book was transformational for me. I read that in 2013, which is when I was like, oh my gosh, work on the business. It's this revolutionary concept.
Can't believe this.
Yeah, I can't believe do people do this like this. Oh, this makes sense.
Sarah's pies.
Yeah. And the cool thing was that, yes, people told me, hey, it's all about systems, but it didn't mean anything to me. I didn't know what systems meant. I didn't really kind of know how to define it or qualify it. The best definition I've liked is a system is a documented process on how to do something important in your business. But that key word is documented, whether it's in written form, video form, audio form, checklist, some type of repeatable documentation that someone can follow and do the thing. And the more that I kind of focused on just serving people on my team and helping them be successful in their jobs, the more they enjoyed their jobs and the less they came to me wondering, what should I do next, Brandon? And it was very freeing. It was freeing for all of us. I mean, it was the ultimate win-win. And for me, that was kind of like, okay, now what else can I systemize and document? And that was where the scorecard came up and where we started documenting this, which eventually led to Conquer and all kinds of fun stuff.
Very cool. Is there something, I mean, you've coached hundreds of business owners at this point. Are there trends that you see or characteristics or attitudes? Like why is it that some people are going to listen to what you're saying now and do nothing, and others are going to be like, you know what, he's right. I've felt that before. I've tried it before. I know I retreated, but I'm going to schedule Mondays. Monday's going to be my CEO day. I'm going to work on the business. Have you identified anything like why someone stays stuck versus why someone decides to change their life?
Yeah, for sure. I'd say one of the biggest indicators for success that I see is speed of execution. And the people that have struggled with coaching, the people that feel stuck, they hear the same thing. They've been told it. They've gone to X number of, conferences. They've listened to X number of podcasts, and they've known what to do for a long time, but they're still waiting. They're still waiting for something. It's on their to-do list, and the to-do list might as well be the to-die list. Like it's never going to happen. And the people that are most successful, and I'll remember when I spoke in a room where Tommy Mello was sitting in the audience, like that dude was taking notes. I'd put a book on the screen. He would take a picture of it. He would order it. I'd, show something. He'd take a picture of it. He'd be like slacking it and texting it to his team saying, hey teams, we need to do this. And the most successful people that I've seen, they constantly execute. They're extremely humble. They never feel like they know it all because they don't. And they also leverage people extremely well. And they are good at delegating. And I think that was the big kind of mind breaker for me too, is, when you think about it, there's only so many hours we have in the week to be able to dedicate towards anything. You get infinitely more hours to dedicate towards building something, growing something, if you have more people. The problem is, can you have those people be effective in doing something and to come in and know what to do, so they aren't stepping on each other's feet and they're not, causing even more chaos in your business. And that's, I'd say, the other big trait of people that are successful is they not only get that, but then they work specifically to create those things so that more people can work effectively without them sitting around wondering, what should I do next?
Very cool. I'm taking notes myself. How does someone know when they're ready? Because, I'm hearing like, yeah, okay, I want to do what Brandon's saying. I'm going to execute. I'm going to hire. I'm going to do whatever. But then I'm like, I can't hire someone. Like, I don't have systems. I don't have documented stuff. I'm going to hire someone who's really qualified, and then I'm going to ruin them because I don't have my shit together.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's one really cool scorecard that I put together. I shared this at the huge convention, and I can share it here too, because people want to check it out. They can. This was a scorecard. It basically has 5 different stages of the business. Oh, did it show up okay?
Yeah. I'm trying to make it so it's larger.
Oh, okay. I gotcha.
I don't know how to.
This is like the scorecard here. It's pretty small in general, and you don't necessarily have to see anything that's here. But the scorecard has, operations, administration, sales and marketing, infrastructure, and strategy. And there's 8 questions to kind of ask yourself and score yourself. And then this color coding shows what's the most important areas that you should be systemizing in your business to kind of get started. And this is a QR code. If people want to go here, they can go check that out. But what it does is it's just a little type form. It asks you 40 questions and it emails you a PDF. And it gives you kind of some clarity on what's my next most important system that I should be working on in my business. Because there is a progression of when should you hire an operations manager? When should you hire an office manager? What should you be doing in your business? And the general kind of area that I talk about to kind of simplify business is a teeter-totter. So you have, like, on one side, let's say over here, you have all of your sales and marketing efforts. So, you have your ability to be able to get leads, your ability to close those leads, turn those into paying customers. And on the other side of the teeter-totter, you have your production. And this is technicians, vehicles, equipment, inventory, the ability to be able to actually deliver what it is that you just sold. And usually one of the first questions I ask people is, where are you stuck right now? Which side? Are you booked out for 8 weeks? If you only had more people, you have just so much demand. Okay, well, you're heavy over on the sales and marketing, but you don't have enough people. Or we got no work on the schedule for tomorrow. There's not enough sales and marketing to kind of focus on. And so just getting into that habit of, when I add another crew, put more vehicles on, hire more people, I'm also increasing my marketing efforts and my sales efforts. And then the part in the middle is just basically your team, your processes, to make sure that everything doesn't fall all off, the rails. So usually that's kind of the first question I ask people, is to say, okay, where's your pain right now? And then depending on where that is, okay, let's focus on getting that system set up to where that's not a pain as much anymore. And it's just a nice, easy, quick way to just identify, is it a sales and marketing problem? If so, let's dive in. Is it a people problem? If so, let's dive in and see where that is.
Yeah, very cool. I appreciate you sharing that. Help me understand this, because where I see a lot of people, depending on when you ask them that question,
right.
In May, they're like, dude, I'm booked out, let's go. And so then they'll hire all the people. But then by August, they're like, dude, I don't know, man. It's the economy. It's just everything's dried up. I had to lay everyone off. And it's just this never ending up and down, this teeter-totter back and forth. What are some tips you can give to help them smooth that out?
I'd say obviously it depends on what kind of industry they're in. And it also depends on the seasonality that you just bluntly deal with in your market. If it's massive amounts of snow and ice, and most of your work is outside, and it's just not conducive to be able to conduct revenue, is there any other ways that you could fill in revenue for interior work or work that's not as weather dependent? Can you go focus on marketing efforts, whether that's prospecting, building relationships, joining associations that open up more opportunities for that type of work? Or do you need to hibernate and lay people off and kind of adjust your season so that people know when it's coming, and then you have your systems for hiring and, kind of working around that seasonality, so you're not keeping people on payroll and losing all your cash while you wait for it to pick back up again. And then I'd say that the other side of that coin is making sure that when you do bring more people on to catch up with your backlog, you still increase your marketing, because your marketing got you kind of to here, but it's not going to get you to there. So you have to always keep that kind of foot down on the pedal to work with that new weight that you put on the other side of your teeter-totter. And a lot of people don't do that. They're booked out, they get another truck and they forget, oh, I also need to increase my marketing budget by $6,000 a month. And then all of a sudden they catch up, and then they're behind the ball. And now they're trying to, figure out like, now what do I do? So it's that balancing act to focus on both sides.
Love it. I want to talk about hire bust for a second. I'm watching your journey just from an outside perspective. You said it yourself too. You're a problem solver. So there's a reason. You're not like, I should just start this company called HireBus. There's a reason, and I think I know why. But what prompted you to start HireBus? Like what were you seeing in the marketplace?
Well, at the time, I owned Conquer, which I've since sold. And with Conquer, we helped tens of thousands of business owners kind of go through our coaching programs and our online courses. And the number one biggest problem that they talked about was, I just can't find good people. And a lot of business owners would blame the economy. They'd blame Gen Z, Gen Y, Gen A, like anybody else except for their own, practices. And one of the things that I've always done in my business is that I like to never turn my hiring ads off. So I build a bench, I build a waiting list, I build a talent pool. It's just fundamentally very difficult to do that from a logistics perspective, because you have to have a staff member, someone on the team that takes all those interviews 365 days a year, which is not very conducive. It's expensive to do that. It's expensive to maintain that list. I know, because that's what we did with All Clean. And then when the season came, we'd hire 25 people in 30 days, like to gear up for our busy season. But it's because we had been recruiting for months and months and months and months the whole rest of the year. So it's just a matter of sending out a text blast or an email blast. So all those things kind of combined together to say, hey, how can we use this new cool AI technology to have it do it on autopilot so that it doesn't take human capital to do this very mundane task of following up and texting and emailing and giving assessments and, analyzing resumes, running every single resume through ChatGPT, giving them behavioral scores, interviewing them. And we designed a way to be able to handle that through our software platform while still keeping that human in the loop, human process of vetting people and ensuring they're good. And we packaged it up into HireBus. So it's been fun. It's been wild, because AI is like the Wild West right now. And there's a lot of good AI products and horrible AI products. And the key difference is that the human component, the human creativity that gives it that, that secret sauce, so to speak.
So, I mean, what's kind of the main problem you're helping them with? Because like you said, most people are like, oh, it's just the economy, Gen Z, all that stuff. How do you shift the business owner's mindset to be like, actually, it's not that. There's a little bit of you in the problem here.
Well, here's the typical scenario. Business owner has John that just turned in his 2 weeks notice. Business owner now goes out and scrambles and posts a job ad up to try to replace John. That's if you get a 2 weeks notice. Usually It's not necessarily that.
Sounds like a lot of notice.
Yeah. Wow. John's a real nice guy.
Yeah. That'd be cool.
But it's like, it's very reactive. So business owner goes out, posts a job ad on Indeed, blasts out, is asking anybody. And at this point, he's just looking for someone with a pulse, because he knows that when that person's not a butt in seat to do production, you're losing $1,000, $1,600, $2,000 a day in lost revenue, because you don't have someone to go deliver the, services that you're selling. And so what ends up happening is when you're hiring inside of this very narrow window of a couple weeks, whoever just so happens to be looking at that moment in time is the pool that you're getting.
Yep.
And it represents a very small sliver. And even worse, if you don't put much spend behind it and you're not spending a ton of money to get a lot of people, you're like, okay, should I go with the guy that didn't, that ghosted us, the guy who has a DUI, or should I go with the person, that like kind of did okay, but said a few questions in a really weird, sketchy way? Okay, I'm going with that guy because he can go out and I'll have him work with Michael, and Michael will, show him the ropes. And then we all know what happens.
You have a hidden camera in my business or something?
This is the hidden camera experience of every business owner that we talked to in Conquer. And we had to spend so much time in just the training and onboarding and teaching them that recruiting is a marketing problem to solve, and how you write your job ads and how fast you respond to them, and how you don't just wait till you have no work on the schedule tomorrow for you to start putting marketing dollars and marketing campaigns out there. Like, that's business suicide. Well, external customers, internal customers, they're the same. Internal customers are your employees. And without that, your business also dies. So having a budget, having a pipeline where you're constantly taking the highest performers and you're swapping them out for the lowest performers, eventually you just get this incredible team and a waiting list of people that are also very well qualified, and you just stop worrying about the problem. If someone's performing low, you're not like, oh my gosh, I can't fire them because it's going to take me so long to replace them. You just swap them out with someone that's on the waiting list, because it's, at the end of the day, a high performance team. And that's how you have to view your business. So it empowers a lot. It fixes a lot of problems for business owners once they get a full team on deck that are all highly scored and highly proficient and highly suited for the roles that they're in, whether that's sales or techs or office or any type of management role.
Yeah, I love it. One thing that changed my perspective on this was Dan Plata. He brought this up one time. I'm so focused on sales. I love sales. I love revenue, profit, and I do forget about the team member. Like I'm like I do forget, right?
Right.
And it's total internal customer stuff like that. But it's like, what's the average lifetime value of a landscape like a homeowner, And like, I don't know what that number is. Everyone's number is different, but like if let's say you do their job and it's like $20,000, and then let's say they spend another 20 with you, and then maybe they refer another 20, like it could be as high as like 80,000, maybe 100,000. Like that's very aggressive. Like it's probably not that high. But then you look at the lifetime value of like a team member, and like the average revenue is like, it could be at least 100, if not $200,000-$400,000 per team member. And that just totally shifted it for me to be like, oh yeah, duh. Like, why would we not spend money to recruit them? Why would we not spend money to train them and build culture and retain them? There's so many things that I think most business owners just forget about because we just think everyone thinks like us. Like,
right.
Why would anyone think like they're the owner? They're not the owner. Like,
well, I mean, for Wise Coatings, we have commission only salespeople, and in one part of the country might have a mediocre salesperson that only sells, $400,000 a year, $500,000 a year, 600,000 maybe. But then in another part of the country, we have a salesperson that sells $1.5 million. Like, why wouldn't you put forth the extra effort and ad spend and interview effort to get someone that can sell a freaking $1 million more a year worth of your services? And like, to me, the sales side of it is completely a massively missed opportunity at being able to grow your business. If you have salespeople, even a 10% increase in performance represents hundreds of thousands of dollars for a business. And those really can be found in qualifying really good people and having that sales funnel. Okay, great. So you have to spend, $600, $800 a month over the course of the entire year. You're spending, $8,000, a year to make sure that you have the best salespeople that are capable of selling $500 to $1 million more, $500,000 to $1 million more per year. Like, why wouldn't you invest that expense to be able to make sure you have the best salespeople and just cycle out the ones that aren't cutting it?
Okay. I love this. I love that you brought this up because, and I hope, can we go a few minutes long?
Of course. Yeah.
You get, okay. So here's the deal. Most of the people that I coach, most people that I talk to and associate with, like the sales is like the last thing because they're like, well, I'm not going to install the lights. So they hire installers and then they go admin. They're like, I'm not going to answer the phones. And then they're like, no one can sell as good as me. No one's as passionate, whatever. And I'm like, now you're talking about 100% commission salespeople that you could hire to help grow your business. And that also relieves so much stress on like, well, now I actually do have time to work on my business because I'm not out selling and I'm not out installing, and like it's all coming together. So what is the secret here? What's the tip? Like, how does someone get to that point? And how do you hire 100% commission salespeople on demand like that?
Well, the tip part of it, the strategy part of it is you want to put together a really good compensation package. You want to sell the vision of what is possible. And a lot of business owners get stuck in their mind that, well, I have to think of it in terms of like how much this person is going to cost me each year. So, okay, Ryan, you're going to go out and hire someone. you're going to pay him $1 million a year. Can your business afford that?
No.
It's crazy expensive.
That would be the normal answer. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, no, of course not. But now let me just reframe that question and say, what if he sold in 1 year $12 million worth of services that year, and like closed, and that $1 million he made was on all commission. It wasn't a guaranteed salary. Would you have
pay him more?
Problem? Would you have a problem writing him $1 million?
I'd pay him more.
So there's a gentleman in HVAC who literally makes $1 million a year. And I've heard some of his podcasts and some of his interviews, and he sells $12 million in HVAC in a given year. There's roofers that make 500 grand, roofing salespeople, 500 grand. There's people out there that can make $250,000, $300,000. It's just a mindset block that some owners have that a salesperson is going to cost them something. It's not, it's an investment. And that's the beauty about hiring people that are on commission, is that if they're good, they'll bet on themselves, and they'll ask questions when you interview them, like, hey, is there a cap on commission? What's my earning potential? And then we've designed models that show them how they can earn the income that they desire on, here's how many calls you need to do. Here's how many estimates you have to bring in on your own through your prospecting, through your door knocking. You have to be at a 75-25% ratio. Here's our pricing tier for self-generated leads. Here's our pricing tier for company-generated leads, what we pay out on commission. And then we have a very, very small draw that's draw against commission. So at the end of the day, they're making 100% commission. It's not like a guaranteed salary. And if they can't outsell their base, something's horribly wrong. Mm-hmm. And they don't want to be making that little either. $5K a month is not at all appetizing for a good salesperson. So they're highly incentivized to go out and sell. So as long as you have a good comp package, you sell the vision, but then you also show the plan on, here's the activities you need to do that will generate the estimates that you need, that will get you the sales that you're looking for. Here's your KPIs on your closing ratios. And then once they understand that clear path, then it's a matter of training them on the process, walking them through, tell, show, watch, and getting them set up for success. Not just say, okay, great, you're a salesperson, now go get it, go get them, Tiger. Like your job's still not done. And then you can build a phenomenal sales team that can go out and just crush it for you. But it takes effort, it takes work, and it doesn't come easily. You have to interview a lot of potential salespeople to find some really good ones. We typically find that number's around 100. In order to get one really good salesperson, you have to have at least 100 applicants coming through to get one great one.
And you said what they are responsible for generating some of their own leads as well. Was it 25% or 75%?
25%. So with Wise Coatings, we have a 75%, 25%, and we track these on a big leaderboard on our TVs that say how many company generated leads they were given, and then how many self-generated leads they were given, or I'm sorry, they brought in. And then we ratio those as a percentage.
Cool.
And if they're behind, like, guess what we're talking about on our sales huddles is, okay, what activities are you going to do to get those numbers up? Are you knocking on doors? What does it look like? Let's role play, more training, more feedback, and, inspecting what you expect.
Where are most of those self-generated? Is it just from, clovering the houses around them, or are they going to events? Is it a mix?
It's a mix. Door knocking at every estimate they're doing, talking to all the neighbors, not just putting door hangers, but actually knocking on doors and having those conversations. That can be a fantastic low-hanging fruit. Yard signs out front, door hangers, cold calling, door knocking, Chamber of Commerce meetings, BNI groups, and then we will generate big lists of companies such as landscaping companies, painting companies, auto detail shops, automotive repair shops, and we will get those leads and kind of assign them out to our salespeople, and they're responsible for also calling down building relationships, going out and talking to those individuals. So we tee them up with lead lists that are cold that they have to call. And then we track their activities, who they call, how many calls are they doing, how many appointments are they setting, how many in-person visits are they doing. You just have to track their activities rather than just hope that they bring in their own leads.
That's awesome, man. Dude, I could talk to you for like 3 days straight. I've got so many more questions I want to ask you, but I want to be respectful of your time. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on here. I've personally learned a lot. I selfishly love doing this podcast because I probably learned more than anyone. I really, really appreciate you. You also are willing to give. I'm going to share a link here. What are you going to share with the listeners of Lighting for Profits?
So one of the things that a lot of people end up getting hung up on is, they don't give written job descriptions for the roles that they have in their business. So when you onboard someone, it's different than like a job ad. You want to have really detailed descriptions on what their KPIs are, what their daily activities, weekly activities, et cetera. If you go to this link, it will take you to a little form. You can put in your industry there as holiday lighting, or exterior cleaning, or any other, depending on whatever your business is that you want to get them for. And we have a folder full of editable templates called role blueprints for every position inside of a $20 million service company. So if you want a rehash agent, which is a really good low-hanging fruit, especially for landscape lighting, to recapture some of those sales, or commission only salesperson, outside salesperson, or production manager, or technician, installer, you can have a good starting point. You can delete the header on them, delete the logo, make them your own. And then if you want help hiring any of these roles, it's more affordable than you think. And it's certainly the ROI of the caliber of individuals that you can bring in. Installers that can install more in less time, salespeople that can sell more, production managers that help you run more efficiently and operate more profitably. We offer guaranteed hire programs where we can help you guaranteed get someone that's a great fit for you. And would love to talk to you more about that. Anyone's interested, there's little links on those role blueprints to schedule a time.
Okay, so it's on that link. It's bit.ly/lighting role blueprints. I put the link in the thing. We'll put it in the show notes too. But cool. If people are like, no, I just want it all, then they go to like hirebus.com, or what's the website?
Yeah, hirebus.com.
Okay.
Yep. Hop on there, and there's a little scheduled demo call. We basically start off all of our conversations with people from a value add perspective of, let's figure out what your recruiting strategy needs to look like for you to hit your growth goals. What are you looking to grow to next year? How many people does that equate to? What people do you feel very confident in being able to bring in on your own? Which of those positions that maybe you're like, I've never hired this kind of person before, that we can kind of offer additional assistance. And then we just put together a custom package for our people. And then we install a team of recruiters, both AI-based and human-based, to just kind of take off all that heavy lifting. And it's cheaper than even going out and finding a VA to do this kind of stuff. And it's all software, which is the coolest part of it.
Dude, that is epic. Well, I look back, I met you, I don't know if you remember, I met you at the Huge convention. The first time I ever went to the Huge convention, I saw this company called Conquer. It said business coaching, and I had just launched Landscape Lighting Secrets. I'm like, uh-oh, what did I do? And I'm like, is this my competition? What do I do? And I came up and introduced myself to you, and I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I felt, honestly, in the moment, I was like, man, I wish I would have done my research. I probably would have just joined their team. I mean, they seem like they got all this stuff figured out. I could have been a lighting guy. But at the same time, I'm grateful that I didn't, because I've got to kind of do my own journey. But I've always appreciated like the content that you put out, the willingness to share. You're such a great speaker, just all the stuff. So it's been a great episode. I'm looking forward to seeing the electrical company turnaround and the series on that. Just so many good things.
Yeah,
so,
man. And I want to chat with you too more about that, because one of the reasons why I think we formed a good cooperative relationship even way back when we met was because we don't profess to be the expert on the technical application and how to put those training things together. And we talk to business owners all the time and say, hey, you need to have a really good training program for your technicians and your salespeople. we don't offer that. Like we can't, give you the actual LMS, but your program's so incredible. You've done such a good job for it. And you have a phenomenal reputation in the industry too. And I just think it's really special what you've created to get business owners the opportunity to buy back their time. And I want to be talking to you about getting some landscape lighting stuff going on for our electrical company, because the techs
kind of have to at this point.
Yeah, I'm kind of calling my shot here, aren't I? So I guess now it's really got to happen.
Dude, I love it. That sounds good. All right. Well, thanks so much. And again, guys, reach out to Brandon at hirebus.com. I'll share the link in the show notes for his the free job blueprints. And just really appreciate it, man. Thanks so much for coming on.
Likewise. Thanks for having me, Ryan. See you guys.
All right, everyone. Now the hard part. Just go implement. So
Right.
it is hard, but it's also simple. Just dedicate time and go do it one thing at a time. Brandon doesn't hold anything back. Just go do it, guys.